Steve Keirn is getting close to 75 now, and many of his fans still wonder where he is today. His financial troubles made life really tough and even became a big topic everyone talked about. So let's not wait any longer and jump straight into the video to break it all down. He grew up in Florida, and like many kids of his time, he was fascinated by professional wrestling from a young age. He was drawn to athleticism, showmanship, and the sense that wrestling was a place where a person could make something extraordinary out of raw talent and determination. Kieran was never the type to back away from a challenge. Even early in his life, he had a sense that he wanted to be more than just another face in the crowd. That drive is what eventually pushed him into the world of wrestling, a world that would become his lifelong passion. Keirn started his career in the early 1970s, cutting his teeth in the smaller Florida territories. He was known for his speed, agility, and charisma. People who watched him wrestle even in those early days noticed that he had something special. He had the rare ability to make fans care deeply about him, whether he was playing a hero or a villain. His in-ring style was fast-paced and exciting, which made him stand out among his peers. He understood that wrestling was as much about telling a story as it was about executing moves, and he excelled at both. Promoters quickly noticed his potential, and before long, he was moving up in the wrestling world. One of the defining chapters of Keirn's career was his time as part of the Fabulous Ones. Teaming up with Steve's longtime partner, they created a tag team that became one of the most popular duos in wrestling history. The Fabulous Ones were known for their combination of athletic skill, charisma, and impeccable style. They wore matching outfits, had carefully crafted entrances, and knew how to make fans cheer in unison. Watching them perform was like watching a perfectly choreographed show, and that polish made them unforgettable. For fans in the 1980s, the Fabulous Ones were the epitome of what a tag team should be, and their matches drew huge crowds wherever they went. The Fabulous Ones feuded with some of the top tag teams of the era, creating rivalries that are still remembered today. One of their most famous feuds was with the Fantastics, Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers. Matches between them were thrilling, and the chemistry was undeniable. Fans could sense the tension, the competition, and the athletic storytelling that made every encounter memorable. Keirn always said those matches pushed him to become a better performer. He had to be fast, clever, and precise, and that pressure helped shape his identity as a wrestler. Beyond tag team success, Keirn also made a name for himself in singles competition. He worked in several territories across the United States and even internationally, gaining experience and honing his craft in front of different crowds. His time in Florida Championship Wrestling and World Class Championship Wrestling allowed him to grow not just as an athlete, but as an entertainer. Fans loved the way he connected with the audience. He had a knack for reading the room and knowing exactly how to get them invested in his matches. That instinct is what separated Keirn from many of his contemporaries. Another key part of his career was his rivalry with other established stars. Whether it was heated matches with local heroes or more strategic feuds designed to build tension over time, Keirn always approached his work with seriousness and dedication. He knew that every match, every promo, every appearance mattered. Wrestling was not just a sport or a performance to him. It was a way to communicate, to engage, and to leave a lasting impression. That mindset helped him stay relevant over decades, even as the wrestling world changed around him. Keirn's contributions to tag team wrestling cannot be overstated. He and his partner helped define the modern tag team era. Their influence can still be seen in the way teams structure their entrances, their moves, and their interactions with fans. They showed that tag team wrestling could be more than just two people fighting together. It could be an art form, combining athleticism, showmanship, and storytelling into something that captivated audiences night after night. Keirn's dedication to his craft and his understanding of what made fans excited made him a true innovator. Throughout his career, Keirn remained remarkably consistent. He understood that fame and popularity in wrestling could be fleeting, so he focused on delivering excellent performances and maintaining professionalism. Promoters respected him because he was reliable, hardworking, and able to carry matches with a variety of opponents. Fans respected him because he made every match feel meaningful. His ability to adapt to different opponents and styles allowed him to have a long and successful career. He was never content to just go through the motions. Every match was an opportunity to leave an impression and create memories that fans would carry with them. In addition to his in-ring success, Keirn was also a mentor to younger wrestlers. He had learned the hard way what it took to survive and thrive in wrestling, and he wanted to share that knowledge with the next generation. Whether it was teaching them techniques, helping them develop their character, or showing them how to connect with a crowd, Keirn was generous with his experience. That mentorship became another layer of his legacy. His influence extended beyond his own matches and into the careers of countless wrestlers who followed in his footsteps. It showed that he cared deeply about wrestling as a craft and wanted to ensure that it continued to grow and evolve. Even though Steve Keirn enjoyed a fabulous wrestling career, his life outside the ring was far from easy. Behind the bright lights, cheering crowds, and flashy entrances, there were struggles that shaped him just as much as wrestling did. Some of these challenges went back to his childhood and continued throughout his life, leaving marks that would influence both his personal decisions and professional journey. One of the earliest and most significant struggles Keirn faced was the absence of a father figure. His father was a prisoner of war, first for 8 months during World War II, and later for nearly 8 years in North Vietnam during the late 1960s and early 1970s. Growing up without his father around for so long left a gap in his life that no one else could fill. He didn't just miss his dad's presence. He missed guidance, support, and the kind of mentorship that shapes a young boy into a confident adult. This void left him searching for figures he could look up to and trust. For Keirn, wrestling became more than a passion or a career. It became a place where he could find structure, mentorship, and even a sense of family. The locker room and the road trips offered him a surrogate family of sorts, and he poured himself into wrestling with intensity, partly because it gave him something he had been missing for most of his childhood. Even as he found that outlet, life continued to test him. One of the biggest emotional blows came in early 1980s with the suicide of his mentor and former promoter, Eddie Graham. Keirn was harsh in his assessment of Graham's death, admitting that it was a moment that left him feeling abandoned. He said people need to accept that even those they look up to, even the ones they consider idols, can let them down. That lesson hit hard because Eddie Graham had been someone Keirn truly trusted. He had been a guide, a teacher, and a figure who helped shape Keirn's understanding of the wrestling business. Losing him in such a tragic way created a mix of grief, anger, and disillusionment. It was a reminder that life could be unpredictable and painful, and that even the people who seemed strongest could falter. Keirn often reflected on that experience as a turning point in his life, shaping his attitude toward mentors and trust. Financial struggles were another major chapter in Keirn's life. Despite his success in the ring, he admitted that he sank money into several ventures that did not pan out. He described those experiences as leaving him poorer but wiser. For someone who had spent years entertaining fans and performing at the highest level, seeing investments fail was frustrating and humbling. He learned firsthand that success in one area does not automatically translate to financial security or business acumen. Keirn said that while the losses hurt at the time, they also taught him valuable lessons about trust, diligence, and the importance of making careful decisions. These experiences left him more cautious but also more determined to protect what he had earned moving forward. One of the most notable business incidents in his life involved championship wrestling from Florida. Keirn had borrowed $50,000 to buy a 2.5% share of the promotion. At first, it seemed like a promising opportunity to have a stake in the business he loved. However, he soon became suspicious when he began receiving cash in bags after shows. Something about it did not feel right, and it raised red flags in his mind. Keirn confronted Eddie Graham about the situation and demanded clarity. Ultimately, he was able to get his initial investment back, choosing to step away from the ownership business entirely. This episode left him wary of trusting others too quickly in business ventures and reinforced the lesson that even those who seemed trustworthy in wrestling could sometimes act in ways that were self-serving. These challenges, combined with the early absence of his father and the emotional blow of his mentor's suicide, shaped Keirn's outlook on life and wrestling. He developed a resilience that allowed him to push through disappointment and loss, but it came with a cost. The combination of personal and professional struggles created an undercurrent of anxiety and caution that followed him for much of his life. Even as he enjoyed fame and success, he carried with him the memories of hardship and betrayal. That duality is part of what makes Kieran's story so compelling. On one hand, he was a talented, charismatic, and beloved performer. On the other hand, he was a man who had faced profound absence, loss, and disappointment, and had to navigate those emotions while living a public life under the spotlight. And that wraps up today's video. Make sure you hit like and subscribe so you never miss an update.